Hello, dear and precious ones all around the world. It is such a joy and delight to invade your space, to surround you with white light, life force, energy. We want to charge up, charge up, charge up all your cells. We want to charge up all your organs. We want to, yes, for some of you, even now, we are destroying cancer cells, which have been growing secretly in your being. We are destroying those as well, and they are being released from your body. We love you. We love you. We love you. We are here in support of you, as are so many other angels and so many other guides. And you see, we are not here in competition with any of them. They are our comrades in arms.
Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I have a wonderful guest today, Anjie Hipple. Angie is the of the Judah channel, is a passionate seeker, spiritual teacher, channeler of angels and other interstellar wisdom keepers. Some years ago, in a desperate attempt to ease her inner suffering, Angie embarked on an accelerated journey to heal her mind and body and emotions and elevate her personal level of consciousness. Voraciously consuming the teachings of enlightened masters, she began deconstructing her deep religious programming and dreaming about the possibilities of enlightenment. And during this season of meditation, she encountered Judah, who spoke through a dramatic, direct voice channeling, a powerful collective of angels. And so it was wonderful to get a chance to speak with Angie. So welcome to the Reality Revolution, Angie. It's so nice to meet you.
Thank you, Brian. It's great to meet you as well. And you were a part of that journey. I spent many hours listening to the beautiful things that you put out, and they were really a huge blessing to my life. Thank you.
I always love to hear that. So, and one of my favorite things when I talk to channelers is to hear the background story of how you got into it, how you got started, and when you started hearing or feeling the voice that came through. Tell me your story.
Well, when that big booming voice came through, it was completely a surprise. Like being a channeler was never on my bucket list. It wasn't something I wanted to do or had aspirations for. I was raised as a fundamentalist Christian.
Hmm.
I had in the mix of all that, I had some real true encounters with angels and with Jesus Christ as a little girl and through my all my grown up years as a mom and a wife and a school teacher, but always struggling too, struggling inside that container, just felt limiting and small and a lot of unhappiness and discord inside and trying to sift and sort and figure it out and just couldn't find all the answers that I needed to really be free within that container of Christianity that I was in. But I just, plodded along, making the best of what I had given to me in the way of resources and understanding and environment, like all of us do. And when I got in about 8 years ago, I was in my mid 40s. My dad died suddenly. My dad was a fundamentalist Baptist minister of the Jerry Falwell variety.
Oh, wow.
And I, at that time, was a renegade. I was fully immersed in the charismatic Christian church of like the Hillsong kind of variety. And
Yeah.
I was leading worship for mega churches and traveling and teaching at women's conferences, things like that I'd done for years as an adult in teaching
Yeah.
school, raising my three kids. So my dad died suddenly, and I had this really profound experience. I got a phone call from the hospital saying that my dad had passed, and I was in shock. I ran into the closet to grab some clothes and throw on some clothes and rushed to the hospital to be with my mom. I'm an only child. And as I was standing in the closet, this presence came in the closet and just took my breath away. And it was this indescribable joy, like just indescribable joy. It was like heaven came down in that little closet. And I knew it was my dad.
Hmm.
I knew that when my dad left his body, he came to visit me and just to let me know, let me feel what he was feeling. And
Wow.
it was so profound. I wish I could have held on to that feeling all the way through the grieving process. But anyway, that was kind of like a beginning for me. I laugh and say it's like my Lemony Snicket. This is the middle school English teacher coming out in me. My Lemony Snicket series of unfortunate events began then, and all kinds of crazy things were happening. My dad's business got thrown in my lap. He was being embezzled from. his longtime partner was stealing money from me before my dad was even in the ground.
Hmm.
Just a lot of insanity started happening. My marriage of 27 years fell apart. My one of my children was struggling with drug addiction and different things. So I was having a full-blown midlife crisis, right? But in the middle of
Yeah.
it, it was like some this like smell of freedom was coming to me, and I let myself start being more true to my feelings and my thoughts and my questions that I had about why certain things weren't working for me and certain things I'd been taught. So I kind of bumbled into this awakening process. So during this time, I was seeing an acupuncture who was like one of us from this, really wild woo-woo space.
Hmm.
And I began to get really transformed. I would go for these treatments and I would start having these kind of out-of-body experiences and these bliss states. And it was freaking me out because the only thing I had to compare it to was like really high times in corporate worship. Of the
Hmm.
harmony and unity of thousands of people singing together. And I couldn't make sense how this was happening to me while I was laying on an acupuncture table, you know? And
Yeah.
so I would go home and like flip through my Bible and try to figure these things out. And I began to allow myself to start reading other things, like reading the Tao Te Ching and reading the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, and for me and my little Christian mindset, that was like really Breaking Bad, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
It was like I needed to go hide in my closet to do these things, right? I mean, in my house at that time, prior to my marriage starting to come apart, if I listened to PBS or the other news channel, that was like a really big no. So, anyway, I just began undergoing this major overhaul, huge stripping of my ego, my thought processes. Um, yeah, everything came into question. All my roles just kind of crumbled.
Hmm.
I left my teaching job. My marriage ended. I moved to away from my spiritual community in the church, and was very alone and just kind of starting from scratch on every level.
Hmm.
And in that time, it was about 2020. At that time. Then I had met up with my new partner who is a spiritual powerhouse. And I was working with him in this spiritual partnership. And he's pretty old school. He was, as a young man, he lived with Osho, both in
Oh,
India
wow.
and in the
Yeah.
United States. He was with Osho for about 7 years total. And so he was pushing all my buttons, very old school, very intentional, just like
Hmm.
Bhagwan. And I was getting stripped and stripped and stripped. COVID hit. I got sick from COVID very early on when it was just sort of first hitting the news, and I had some pretty serious complications from it. And so I ended up being sick for 2 years, which was an experience I'd never had before, being chronically ill. So during that time, just sat in a chair like this. Is all I could do. I could usually couldn't cook dinner. I couldn't do laundry. Sometimes I couldn't get up and down the stairs. Um, all I could do literally was meditate, do my inner work, listen to enlightened teachers. You guys, your reality revolution was part of that.
Hmm.
And I began to get changed. I was really getting changed. And I was becoming more and more willing to surrender, letting things go. And one night in this process, Chuck and I, who's now my sweetheart, my husband, we were watching Wendy Kennedy channeling.
Hmm.
And like I said, when I first met Chuck, and this was what he loved to do, watch Daryl Anka, and he was a big investor in Daryl's movie and some different things. And he's been all in on this spiritual walk for decades.
Yeah.
And I thought he was crazy. I thought it was just flat out nuts. But he was cute and sexy and he was rich, so I just kind of put up with it. I was falling in love with him. But over time, as I would watch these channelers, their messages were so resonant for me. They were helpful. They were practical. They were what I needed, to hear. And so this was a
Hmm.
regular practice for us. But like I said, it wasn't something that I ever thought I would do.
Yeah.
So one night we were just sitting on the couch watching Kennedy Kennedy, which is a typical thing that we would do. But for whatever reason, he just turned and looked at me that night and he said, "You could do that." And I thought, well, I just was open to anything at that point. I was just glad to be alive, still breathing.
Yeah.
So that night, I had a profound, crazy metaphysical experience. When I woke up the next morning, I began typing it up, and Judah began speaking telepathically in my thoughts. And I typed up this whole message. Chuck came home from work that night. I said, "Listen to this." And I read him this. I told him about what had happened. I read him the message. We said, "Well, what do we do next? This must be this channeling thing you brought up last night. Thanks." And we just sat down together to meditate, which is something very common for us. And this huge voice came booming through just right away. And my whole body caught on fire. And I had this like a sensation of a drill bit going through my third eye.
Hmm.
And and it's just been a love affair ever since, just a love affair. It's
Amazing.
been a blast.
And for people watching to understand your background, because I have, I'm aware of that background. I come from that background as well.
Yeah,
This is a big deal because if you were to go back in time and talk about what you're doing now, you're communing with demons, and the idea that you would read the Tao
absolutely.
Te Ching, um it's much more of a leap than people can imagine, especially if you're in that world and your family's in that world. It's a huge shift, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, having been raised in it my whole entire life and not allowing myself to question that there might be a different way or that things I had been taught or believed might not be
Hmm.
what I've been told. It is really was it's kind of a recipe for cracking up. I mean, you really need help if you're going to make that major of a transition, especially later in life. I think because I had been in that tradition for 40 some years,
Hmm.
it was particularly challenging. And fortunately, I had Chuck there to kind of walk me
Yeah.
through it. I
And you
needed
make
a
a
lot of
good point.
support.
Like when you're in an event where everybody's singing, everybody's singing together, it can be a blissful, wonderful
Yes.
experience, no matter what people believe.
Mhm.
There's this joining together in a church setting like that. And people, once you experience that, you think this is life itself. You can feel the
Yeah.
presence of the divinity in that moment, and you think, well, this must be the way. And if I do anything else, it's contradicting it. You start to accept this as this profound reality, your spiritual reality, and there's a misunderstanding that this is a more communal thing that can happen for anybody in any situation, in any religion, right?
Exactly. And now that I have the context that I have in the experience and I look back at some of the experiences I had when I was a kid, I realized that it wasn't what I thought it meant. For instance, when I was about
Hmm.
7, I was sitting in a church service, and the preacher was preaching hell and damnation and you're a sinner and you're going to go to hell if you don't receive Christ and so on. And to my little heart, that was a devastating thought for this beautiful Jesus person that I was just being introduced to think that I would be separated forever, and also terrifying to think that I would burn in hell. And in those moments, as I was listening, I was enveloped by a mist, like a cloud. It was as if was sitting inside of a rain cloud on this pew, and I could see it with my physical eyes. I now understand that that was an angel, likely Judah,
Hmm.
who I channel now. And And as a little girl, I felt so overwhelmed with this love in
Yeah.
that moment. And so I just mentally made the connection that what was happening because of this preacher and what he was saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I think it was more that those angels were coming around me to protect me from what was being said
Yeah.
and to reassure me that what was being said was not accurate, that I'm completely loved and accepted in all
Yeah.
realms of time and space. But I just kind of followed the path because I didn't know what else to do,
Right.
right? But to do what the adults are supposed to, this is what we know as kids. We all do this. We adapt our life to what the adults say.
Yeah.
And the trick is to go back to before all that happened. I heard this week this statement that I love. I've never been as wise as I was the day I was born.
Ever so
Like
true.
trying to get back to that purity of that.
I don't think it's done on purpose,
I
but
don't either.
the message can be traumatizing. It's a
Yes.
fear-based message that scares you about
Hmm.
your spirituality. That if you make
Hmm.
this one wrong move, and especially for people that you go to school with or you're friends with, those people are doomed to an apocalyptic hell for eternity for one simple mistake that they make. And to think that the creator would be so horrible to punish his own creation in that way. Make one mistake, or you don't properly express your belief, and you're consumed in the fires of hell forever, which is a very long time. Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And the truth is that the scripture says absolutely nothing about such a
Nothing about
place
that at all. Yeah.
existing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah. So
true.
it's been a real undoing process. And we love to embrace people, kind of coming out of that life. And then also,
Hmm.
of course, we get knocked on the chin a little bit by them too. And that's fine too. I
That's
love
fine.
them because I was that person.
Yeah. So you really wonder about the name Judah. It's always one of the interesting things when you start channeling an entity, the meaning behind the name. And that Judah has a sort of religious implication to it. And when you hear that
Yeah.
word and what it means, I'd like to get your feelings around the name that they gave you for Judah.
Yeah. Well, I think that they did that really out of a grace or a mercy to me to kind of help me ease into
Right.
the transition. But basically, they are a collective of 350,000 angelic beings they hail from Sirius A. They're feline beings.
I love that.
And they are extraordinary. Sometimes when I channel them, I can actually feel like the presence of a lion, and I can even hear them snorting sometimes like a lion. But basically, that is a name from the Hebrew tradition. Judah was actually a man that was one of the heads of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And so
Mhm.
they've explained to me, all this kind of unfolds over time. It's like on a first date, you can't get all the details in it. It has
Right.
to yeah, but they've told me that Judah, the man in Scripture, was one of the incarnations from this collective, and that's one of the reasons why they chose that name for me to help me identify, and also because Judah was the raucous kind of praiser, worshiper, dancer, drum banger,
Okay.
instrument player, and I am a musician by trade, and my soul is so musical.
Hmm.
The more blissed out and more high I get elevated in my level of consciousness, the more likely I am to sing. And singing has been my passion since I was a little girl. So they explained to me that Judah is my oversoul family. They are these feline beings from Sirius A. They are a part of the Christ consciousness. They work really, they serve the Christ consciousness. That's what they are all about. And
Hmm.
they work closely with the Pleiadians, Swell, and other groups. But yeah, they're gorgeous, and there are other different people that they introduced me to that have been a part of that collective, and there are other
Hmm.
people on the earth today that are part of this collective that are starseeds from this collective, and I've met a few of them, and they feel it. The instant they hear me somewhere on the internet, oh, I think this is my family, and when we check in, we find out for some of them it's true.
I love to hear stories like that. And the thing about the higher dimensional beings is they really don't have names. They're giving you the name
Right.
as a way of, it's sort of a 3D thing. They understand they kind of need to give themselves a name, but they're not walking around identifying themselves as Judah. It's a way of communicating with you.
No,
Right.
it's just another name for consciousness.
Right,
It,
right.
and it's just, they are a particular focus of consciousness. I like to think of it as, we understand this, that we are all a part of consciousness. And when you think of the sun shining, and if I held up a magnifying glass to that sunshine, as the
Hmm.
sunshine's flowing through it, then I can focus it through that magnifying glass to start a fire or to create something that I want with that light, right? So, Judas is just a name or a label to identify a particular focus of consciousness, and
Right.
they do have quite, their own personality that's unique and different. They are very joyful and raucous and
Yeah.
always saying yes. I get frustrated with them because any opportunities that come up, they always say yes. And I'm like, guys, I'm tired. Really? More?
So
But
as a musician, I'd love to. I know that you've asked them like, what kind of music do you listen to? Can you tell me? Can you share me what kind of music they're listening to in the higher dimensions? Have they told you or talked about music with you and had a discussion of that?
yeah, well, yeah, and I've had a few amazing experiences too.
Yeah.
And just part of the background I didn't give is that I actually had a passion for music my whole life and was a professional musician and had made 4 or 5 records. I can't remember now how many I
Oh
made
wow.
before this happened. So, and I did the whole Nashville thing and the whole Hillsong thing,
All
all
right.
that.
I love
Yeah,
it.
so I can tell you what my experience has been with them. They've taught me that music is the universal language. It's the language of the cosmos. It bypasses the mind and goes straight into the heart. We all know this, right? We can
Hmm.
listen to a song and it can instantly change our mood and make us feel sad or happy and they've taught me that that this music it is the language of creation and of the creator, and we know this even from like the Aboriginal tradition that they believe that the creator sang songs which created the earth. And the more exciting thing I think that your folks would appreciate. Well, let me tell you a couple things. One was they said that they told me that they're like a calliope. And now this is pretty old school. Most people, many people I not know what a calliope is, but it's this crazy instrument with dozens of pipes,
Hmm.
and you just pump wind through it, and it sounds like this whole cacophony of sound. So they've told me that their bodies are filled with sound and are constantly emanating these sounds. Now, all of that sounds kind of fantastical, and maybe delusional. So a lot of times I try to restrict what I share to what I've experienced. So I'll tell you what I've experienced.
Hmm.
On several occasions, I have heard them. It's like my ears open up and it's the loudest, most, not painfully loud, but loudest, most overwhelming, gorgeous sound. It sounds like billions of voices. And what's strange about it is I experience 360 above me, under me, around me, through me, all at once. The sound doesn't have a point of orientation. Like,
Hmm.
normally we're hearing sound coming out of a speaker. It's not like that. It's just pervasive.
Wow.
And I've heard it several times and it's just, it's a show,
Right.
a game changer, a life changer. It's so gorgeous.
I love that. I always think there's a whole universe of amazing songs that we're missing out on. And I wish I
Yeah.
could just keep recordings of those. So, yeah, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, and what's weird too is it's not tied to worship, it's tied to consciousness.
Hmm.
Like that was like a big, change I needed to understand that one of the first times I channeled Jesus, who's also, and from my understanding, a part of this collective, this Christ consciousness. When I first channeled him, um, I lost my thought there for a second. Oh, when I first channeled him, he said really plainly to me not to worship him. Do not worship me, he said.
Yeah.
And that was very surprising for me. And the angels, they don't want to be worshiped. And a
Right.
lot of times that's why they're not presenting themselves in physical form, because we would be so overcome. They really do carry the essence of the supreme creator. And so when you're with them, you feel as if you are standing in, face to face with God, whatever God
Hmm.
is, because they carry that essence, but they do not want to be worshiped. They really are so humble and so serving and deferring. They really are here to empower us, not
Hmm.
to exert power over us in any way.
Tell me about the important revelations that you've received from Judah in your teaching, in your channelings.
Mm. Yeah, gosh, there's so much. And I I still need to always go back and listen and just check in to see
Yeah.
that I'm living all of it. Um, their focus, their particular focus is really to help people move from where they are in their awakening experience all the way to enlightenment. And they are constantly casting a new vision for humanity, which is this, that all humans in the human race will eventually be fully enlightened human beings using the kind of the general definition that we would understand of an enlightened being.
Hmm.
And this is a really accelerated process. And one of the things they do a lot through me with the messages is try to break down ideas, ingrained ideas that we have about what enlightenment looks like and how it happens and what it means in a day-to-day way for people so that they can really begin opening up to it. And they have keep casting this vision that we're transitioning rapidly from this time that, like, let's say Chuck knew with Osho, where there's an enlightened being and 100,000 people come to see him and live with
Hmm.
him and sit in his presence. We are swiftly transitioning from a handful of enlightened beings on the earth to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's going to swiftly change. And the internet and the algorithm have a lot to do with that. But people like us that have been around for a little bit, we have a lot of work to do because it's kind of like we're in a nursery with 1,000 babies and there's not enough hands to go around. So just saying that for you folks, you wise folks out there, there's a lot to be done.
The perfect
Um,
metaphor. I love it. Yeah, that's true.
yeah, yeah, there's a lot to be done. But they've shared that in the coming, I mean, soon, like my grandchildren and my grandchildren's children, they will they will not remember a time when the majority of people didn't have these clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudio, remote viewing, channeling. All this is going to be like normal,
Hmm.
just very normal for everybody. In other words, it will be rare for people not to operate in those gifts in the near future.
I mean, it's amazing when we look at the last 4 years, the explosion of channeling. And when I read those comments, I see the doubters, I see people that are skeptical
Mhm.
about this, but there are so many people that I've met. They're so authentic and so powerful. And when I hear their message and I hear how it resonates, it's undeniable to me. And we have seen this explosion in channelers, over the last 4 years, when you can name like a handful of really good channelers, and
Yeah.
now there's just so many. I think that we're all becoming like a sort of library card. Where we will all be able to channel and access these beings. They want to communicate through us. And every day we're finding more and more amazing channelers. I'm excited. This is an exciting time that we get to communicate with these beings. They're here to help us. There's obviously a very common message that we get from many of them. They always are saying that we're here for you. They want to help
Mhm.
you. They're with us in our dreams.
Mhm.
And there's always the message that we can ask for their help. And I'm sure it's the
Yes.
same, with Judah, right? They're saying that we can ask for their help and they will come to us, but we need to begin the process. We need to say, please help, because they're never going to violate our free will, right?
Right, exactly. And I help people start channeling every single week. And
Hmm.
I've even started being more and more bold. Sometimes I'll get on the call with somebody and they'll say, I don't think I can do it. I'm not ready. I'll say, yeah, you are. And sure enough,
Hmm.
before the end of the session, we're channeling. And I actually have them to channel Judah to me. And
Amazing.
the reason I do that is because I know Judah's character. I trust them. I know they're safe. I know they're unconditionally loving.
Hmm.
And so I want people to have a really good experience the first time out. And I can also identify, because I know Judah so well, whether or not it's actually Judah they're channeling or their higher self or their angels.
Hmm.
I am happy to help people work with any entity that's helpful for them, that has a little more wisdom, that's a little bit further down the path, has a little higher level of consciousness, any being like that. What I found for me is that these beings literally stack up, like they are almost like, you go to the DMV and you have to take one of those numbers to stand in line. once people become open and it's like somebody puts up a sign that says open for business, and these beings literally start stacking up for a
Wow.
chance to have the mic. But
Hmm.
there are so many beautiful beings, and everybody can do it. And I think the word channeling is kind of limiting.
Agreed.
I feel more that it's not that we're learning to channel, it's that we are learning that we are these infinite creator beings that can connect with any soul anywhere in the universe anytime.
Yes,
We
exactly.
are all, in this consciousness soup together. One day my husband called me. He was outside working. We had this leak from the top floor, and it was dripping down in the basement. And he said, "I can't find this leak. I need Judah to help me." I was like, I don't know about that. I think that's out of Judah's wheelhouse, right? Judah's got better things to do than that. But sure enough, I went outside and I asked Judah, can you show me where the leak is? And I'll be damned if I didn't find it.
Amazing.
So, they're not, sometimes when people listen to our channel, because I'm an elementary school teacher and I'm a mother and a
Hmm.
grandmother, I have 5 little grandkids. Sometimes people get offended by the innocence or the elementary nature of the things that Judah shares, but I think they chose me for a reason. We don't
Hmm.
need to have these really mind-bending, complex, uh, conversations.
Mm-mm.
They're just here for us on the most practical level. Mainly, they're here to just commune with us, so we could just melt into the consciousness and the experience of just feeling their love, feeling their energy, knowing they're supporting us. And like you said, one of the first messages people usually hear when they start channeling is, "We're here for you." Well, why is it so important? Because people in this kind of process can feel very alone and very
Hmm.
isolated and cut off. And some people lose their families, some people lose their partnerships. It's important to know that we have support and help.
It's interesting. I'm not really a channeler. Of course, all people are channelers, because I still feel myself coming through a little bit. But I think the purest place for me is the shower. When I'm in the
Yeah.
shower, then it's like, oh, they just come full force. I can really feel the
Hmm.
presence in the shower, or automatic writing, maybe a little bit more
Yeah,
with me. But I would love to get a chance to talk to one of the entities that
absolutely.
did they come in randomly? Do you have control over who comes through?
Yeah, I do. You want to speak to Judah, and if we
I
want,
would
we can
love to
pass
speak
the
to
mic
Judah. Yes,
later to
sure.
somebody else. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm ready. Fire
And
away.
so, before we begin, I like to ask everybody in the audience that is watching this to tune into Judah. And
Yeah.
how do you do that? Just make it your intention. I just take a moment,
Mhm.
and we're going to tune in together. And I think when we do that as a group, through because all of time is happening at the same time. So as
Yes.
they're watching this, even though they're watching this in the future, this is coming through now, that
Yeah.
there is a greater amount of energy and connection, and they're more inspired, and we're more inspired. So I just want to take a moment.
Mhm.
And so, how long does it take for you to fully
Oh,
access?
I'm there. They're already here. And I just want to share that because I want to
Yeah.
expound on that just a little bit. This is my defined and proven experience that as Brian just invited you to, if you just in your inner being say, Judah, are you
Judah,
there? And you just
are you
set an
there?
intention to blend your consciousness with the consciousness of Judah, you will feel them physically in your body and in the space all around you as I channel. As a matter of fact, you're likely already feeling your heart chakra get really hot.
Hmm.
And some of you are feeling like the temperature go up in your body from their presence. And I love that they give us these physical signs because the mind is always going to tell us that it's BS and we're making it up and we're delusional and all that, right? That's just the mind's job because the mind's job, the amygdala, is to protect us from potential threats and from the unknown. But when you feel their energy running through your body and your face turns pink and your heart chakra heats up like a stove burner, there's no denying that you're being touched by something outside
Hmm.
of what you can feel. So, yeah, they're here.
All
Should we
right.
let them monologue a little
Yeah, tell us
and
if you
then you
have a
can ask some
message for us,
questions?
please.
Hmm.
Just whatever you'd like to share.
Mhm.
Please.
Hello,
Thank
dear and
you.
precious ones all around the world. It is such a joy and delight to invade your space, to surround you with white light, life force, energy. We want to charge up, charge up, charge up all your cells. We want to charge up all your organs. We want to, yes, for some of you, even now, we are destroying cancer cells, which have been growing secretly in your being. We are destroying those as well, and they are being released from your body. We love you. We love you. We love you. We are here in support of you, as are so many other angels and so many other guides. And you see, we are not here in competition with any of them. They are our comrades in arms. And we are so pleased to defer and prefer and work with them with all love, with all joy, with all respect. We have enormous authority that has been given to us by the beloved Christ and the Archangel Michael, for whom we hail to report to work for. And we love to work in this submissive way to Archangel Michael, having complete and total trust in his authority, his wishes, and the perfection of his intention toward humanity. We are here to meet you exactly where you are. Be you saint, be you sinner, be you prodigal, be you elder brother, be you atheist, be you a religious zealot, whatever you are, anywhere you are on the continuum. If you are a soul, then your soul, we are here for your soul. We are here to clear from the story of your soul whatever ails you, whatever holds you down, whatever ways in which you are holding on to karma, which, by the way, is a lack of forgiveness for the self. Accept and love yourself exactly where you are. Allow whatever is. And as you embrace the truth about what is, there we are. Here we are. Here we are to now then pick you up from where you are and move you forward. We're going to move you forward to a brand new place, so far removed from where you are right now at this moment that you cannot return to it. You see, some of you, it is as if you are lost in a vast, vast, vast forest. And you've been wandering and looking and hungry and starving and lonely in so many different areas, aspects of the soul. We're going to pick you up from this forest and put you now on a mountain top where there is a clear and distinct view of where you have been and what is possible for you. We are servants. We do not need to be anything or any way. We don't have any agenda except to serve the highest and best good for your soul, which is slightly unique and different for each and every one of you. And yet there are still some aspects that are the same amongst you all. But we encourage you to live into your story. Live into your story, feel your feelings, embrace what is going on with you, and invite us in. We have so much magic from your perspective to offer. There are many, many miracles available to those who are open to receiving them. Some of you will receive them even now in your own physical being. You will step away from this interaction, this interchange, and notice, oh, wow, my back stopped hurting. Oh, my headache just went away. Or you might go to the doctor next week and find that whatever you have been struggling with has suddenly now vanished. There are and physical miracles are only a part. You see, physical is only a manifestation of a healing on a deeper soul level. Everything having a root in the emotions and in the thought life. We're here to radically change your perspective about life, and we want to do it experientially. We are not here to talk to you. We're not here to talk at you. We are here to transform you with energies you have not yet experienced, which are of a quality and a vibration that are beyond words and understanding of the mind. But they are effective, nevertheless, and eternal in their impact and nature. Now, dear one, we are happy to answer any questions for you.
Thank you so much, Judah. I would love to know how I can bring in more of these higher energies into my life, and for those listening, how they can invite more of these higher energies into their life.
Yes, it's very, very simple. It happens in an instant, in a moment. There are no processes or procedures that are needed. There is nothing that you have to work up to in order to be open enough. It is just as simple as calling our name, Judah, and before you even finish the thought, before the word is even formed on your lips and coming out of your mouth, we are there. This is referred to in the prophet Isaiah, who said, before you call, I will answer you. While you are still speaking, I am here. You see, so your thoughts will draw us in. And the more you think about the possibility of maybe, possibly us being a part of your interactions, then the more you begin to draw us and other angels as well. As this vessel just spoke, you see, she spent many months, years preparing by allowing what she understood to be true to be stripped away. So if you think you know, then you don't know. And if you think you don't know, you probably know a lot. And so to answer your question, then just come empty headed, open, and say, help, please. And there we will be. And be open to a different perspective, a different point of view. Receive everything that is happening for you as perfect, for it is perfect. It's all perfect. It's all perfect. And whatever you are encountering, whatever you're facing, that is something that you don't want, is a beautiful gift to eliminate that thing that you don't want in order that you create something new. You are an infinite creator being. If you look at this vessel and you say, wow, I would like to do that, then it's for you. Just the fact that you have the thought, I would like to do that, is evidence that it is for you to do such a thing. Yes? And so be in touch with your own inner being. Be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you are angry and you are feeling hatred towards another, tell us about that. We can work with that. We can work with you wherever you are if you come to us with honesty of heart.
When I look out into the world as I grow in understanding the intelligence of love, and I see fires in California, floods in North Carolina, hurricanes in Florida, wars in Ukraine and Palestine, my heart is broken. I feel helpless. I feel as if I can't do enough to help those people that are struggling. And I ask for your help. How can I help those who are struggling in the world around me that I see, that I feel that are myself?
Yes, 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 yes. Well, it is important to know your right size, you see. And what we mean by that is know that you can always impact your immediate environment. Yes, always, always, always. Your light is shining and ever increasing. Love the one that is in front of you. You can't fix everything that is going on in this moment. You can't save everyone. We want to say that this sort of thinking is a holdover from religion, that it is up to you to save the whole entire world, that you'd better get busy, you see, and proselytize and pronounce and so on. This is not the way. The way is to mind your own internal state and your own internal being, and removing everything that is not of you. When the fires are burning, it is because of this. It is because there are things that are needing to be burned away. Now, we're not saying that anyone harmed by this fire, that the intention of all that is to harm in any way. We are simply saying there is a natural cycle of life, which is a death and rebirth, and a death and rebirth, and a death and rebirth. And fires are a natural part of that, a laying to rest, a bringing to ash so that something new will arise. And so we encourage you, even as you console, as you comfort, as you love, as you hold, either physically or in your heart, those who have suffered, whatever their suffering may be, the fires or the wars or whatever, be looking for the rebirth. Be looking, be looking, be looking. For even the Christ in his death, the simple, there was the resurrection, yes? And there is a life. There is a life that comes on the other side. There is a weeping that happens for all persons in this lifetime. There is a sadness. There is a sorrow. There is a devastation and a loss, but there is a joy that comes in the morning for all, for all. For all there is a joy that comes. And so you cannot serve others by suffering alongside them. You can serve them by being your best and your highest self, in your most joyous self. And each soul is in a perfected state of their own journey and what happens for them. And even in sorrow and disappointment and loss, there is a rebirth there, and there is a recovery of what is true, what is real, what is permanent, what is eternal. And so, yes, you feel compassion. We love that you feel this compassion. Hold these in your heart. Hold them in your heart. And even when you sit in meditation and you hold in your heart the vision of a family, perhaps, that has lost their home in the fire or in the war, even imagine bringing them into your heart and surrounding them with comfort and love and grace and peace and ease and a vision for rebuilding. And know that when you do that, that meditation is where things are done, my friend. There is a practicality of hands-on and so on, but there is a way that is even higher than that, and it is to hold in the heart and to send forth the loving thoughts and intentions, which are powerful. Because if you allow these things to frighten you, then you will only create more fright. And if you allow these things to dissuade you or cause you to doubt or distrust in all that is, the beauty of all that is, then you will only create more doubt and more distrust. Mm?
Yes, thank you.
Hmm.
In the 3D world that we're in, we spend the majority of our time concerned with our survival and working on making money to pay for our lives, to pay our rent, to pay for our food. And so a lot of the people I work with spend the majority of their time focused on this aspect of our existence. And I'm wondering if you can provide advice for us so that we can move beyond the focus to prosperity and we can live our lives prosperously beyond just the journey of receiving abundance to actually living it.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, we can tell you that this is a natural evolution and process of your spiritual progress, which will come to you. And we will share some of this vessel's story to help you understand. One of the problems is, we love that you asked this question, is that there is a cultural norm that says, don't talk about money. Spend all your time, energy, and attention trying to make it, but then don't talk about how you got it or how you got to where you are. And this is perpetuating an environment of ignorance. And so, because of that, we're going to share a little of this vessel's story. Because when she began her awakening and enlightenment process, as she shared earlier, was so rudely, seemingly awakened from her wrong ideas. It was common for her to be broke, dead broke, to open the refrigerator and fret and worry because there was no food in the refrigerator and no extra money to go and get what was needed for supporting her and her children. And she was working very hard, and her partner was working very hard. They were very diligent. They were doing the best that they could with the light and understanding they had and with their physical, emotional, educational, and material resources, and still struggling to make it because they were still subject to the system and all that it offered. Now, fast forward 8 years, we will tell you this vessel has more money than she will ever spend in a lifetime, and she did not earn it. Much of it was given to her as a gift and as a grace. You see, there is something that happens as you surrender deeply, as you let go of what you think you are and come into the I don't know, and then receive new inside information and begin to know your higher self, your true self in the closet, in the place of quiet and meditation. Then you enter into ease, you enter into alignment with your mission and why you are really here. And when what you do and where you invest your time, your energy, and your attention, your life force energy into what you are excited about and what is aligned, that has eternal value, that will still exist and be functioning in the universe when you die. When you are focused on those tasks, wealth and abundance will come to you. For money is love and love is money. Money is simply a symbol of your energy, of your life force energy. It's simply the energy flowing back to you. So as you love and you love and you love and you love and you serve, that energy begins to come flow back to you in the form of money, and all other sorts of abundance can come to you from everywhere. One of the things we want to say to you is you don't have to earn money. It can be a gift. It can be a gift that flows to you with life force energy. Yes. And many of you, you are consciously leaning into your passion. You are consciously leaning into high service. You are consciously leaning into self-inquiry and meditation, and you are still struggling. The reason that that money has not begun to flow yet is because of unconscious beliefs that were deeply imprinted upon you as a child, and for many of you in many other lifetimes. And if you were privy to all of those experiences, you would realize actually just how amazing you are and just how abundant you really are. For some of you have had lifetimes in which you were literally slaves, chained to your literally shackled to your work, literally shackled, literally working from sunup to sundown with little food, little water, and very little or no money reciprocating coming to you. So each and every one of you is victorious. This vessel is currently working with a gentleman who is, as he would say, he says, I am homeless. Well, he used to be homeless. He was truly a homeless person. Now he lives in a home that he does not own, but it is a big, beautiful, lovely home. He is safe there. He's welcomed there. He doesn't have to pay rent. He is a caretaker for that home. So is he truly homeless? And we encouraged him to see the progress that he has made. And he is very faithfully, consciously committed to his spiritual journey. And as he commits, his position is shifting, is changing. But going back to the subconscious beliefs, there are beliefs such as I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. One big one that holds up many of you is that you think of rich people as being evil. You think that rich people hold all the power, and it is true that this country is similar, is bordering on the sort of an oligarchy type of production or charade, we will say. And so you can make on the unconscious level a judgment. Rich people are evil. Rich people want power. Rich people are unkind. Rich people are stepping on the backs of others, and so on. And so you have a split energy inside of you. There are parts of you that want to be wealthy and want to have a life of ease and flow and abundance. But there are other aspects of yourself that are not in agreement with that because you are afraid. You are afraid that if you have money, you will be evil, you will be selfish, and so on. And so it is time. It is time to resolve these subconscious beliefs. This vessel was working with a gentleman yesterday who works very, very hard. His wife was complaining. He works all the time, all the time, all the time. And his response was, yes, I'm working to provide for my family, for my aging mother, my siblings, and so on. And so what we said to this gentleman was, we want you to go back. We want you to think about what you believe. What were your earliest impressions? And immediately this gentleman remembered a time when his father, he was very young, his father wanted some beer. His father was an alcoholic. His father took their new TV and sold it in order to buy the beer. And then another time, the father actually sold their home out from under them in order to get some money to settle a debt, and they were left homeless. So you see, this young, very young little boy had a subconscious belief buried very deeply in the subconscious mind. No matter how hard I work, no matter how much money I earn, my family will take it from me. And so this is now his lived experience as a young man, that he works very, very hard and his family consumes everything that he makes. Now, as soon as he has undermined and uprooted this unconscious belief, he will find that all of a sudden, all the money that he's working so very hard for will begin to stay in the bank account and grow and grow and grow and find its way to investments and so on. So it is the unconscious beliefs. When this vessel married her new husband, he had a lot of wealth. She had never experienced this. There were parts of her that could not receive it, could not accept it because she did not feel worthy. But now she is able to receive so very much abundance. She has more money than she will ever spend. She can give it away and still more comes back. And the faster she gives it away, the more it comes back to her. This is the way of abundance. It is the subconscious beliefs that primarily prevent this. When you have anything in your life that you don't want, finances, sickness, disease, anything in your relationships, it is because there is a root. If you are consciously giving your time, energy, attention to creating as a conscious creator what you want and you're still not manifesting it, it is because of one of these beliefs buried in the subconscious. If there is fruit, there is definitely a root. If you continue to bear your life experience bears the fruit of not enough money, or the fruit of dis-ease, or the fruit of conflict and broken relationships, you know for certain, for sure, there is a root underground in the subconscious of your superconscious mind that is allowing this fruit to continue. So it is a waste of your time to climb up the tree and snip off the branches, the limbs, or pick off the bad fruit. You can pick the bad fruit off all day long with your conscious action, and it will continue to regrow until you make time to meditate and go within, find the subconscious root, and clear it in all realms of time and space, all densities and dimensions. We would like to do this for you now. Those of you, let us speak to this issue of finance. Yes?
Yes.
Hold in your inner being. Hold in your inner being now all your thoughts and feelings about money, about finance, all your thoughts and feelings, all of your experiences. And now we treat it in all realms of time and space, all densities and dimensions, all realities and frequency bands. We enlist now your higher self and your angels to locate the origin of the very first time in which you experience lack and limitation in the material realm, and to clear all negativity and all subconscious beliefs around this experience, all judgments, all conflicts, all parts and predispositions that manifested as a result of this experience. And we release you from it now.
Thank you so much. Right now, in the United States where I live, and also as I appear to see in the world, we are divided. There's lots of partisanship, and it appears it's almost a 50-50 divide. One side hates the other, one side demonizes the other, and this conflict goes to my heart. It's creating almost two separate worlds with different reality bubbles where people see a different reality. And I'd love for you to speak on this and how I can maneuver through this partisanship if I have a desire for unity.
Yes, we agree. Well, an eagle has two wings, both a left and a right. And an eagle cannot fly without its left wing or its right. And so the eagle, in order to fly, must embrace and make use of and fully allow and accept both the left and the right wing. Yes? And so it is time for each and all to divorce themselves from the idea of left and right, blue and red, and become purple. Yes? And refuse to take sides. Refuse to take sides. Know your own mind, know your own heart, know where you stand in your own inner being. Know what kind of world you want to create. Create it in your inner being in meditation, and continue allow all persons to come to you. If they come to you, share your truth with them, but don't try to fix them. Yes? And embrace them as they are. Love the one in front of you. This is much like unto this. Imagine a football team, and there are two teams playing. Yes?
Hmm.
And there will only be one team that will win. Yes? And so if you are there for the love of the game and the love of the sport, you might be a little bit disappointed if your team doesn't win, but it's a game, is it not? And so, if you are a healthy person, if you are a truly spiritual person, you can go out after the game and have a drink with someone from the other side and laugh and relate to them as a person and enjoy the game that was played. Right. And so this polarization, as you are speaking of, it is when it is unhealthy when someone leaves the game and they feel violent or they feel despairing or disappointed because their team did not win. It is truly a game, is it not? And so love the one in front of you every chance you get. And when there are bad men around, understand what Lao Tzu has taught us, the master, the OG. What is a bad man but a good man's job? And so if there is a bad man in front of you, it is your job. He is your job then. Yes? It is your job to love him. It is your job to be aware. It is your job to be open. It is your job to be available. Yes? And what is a good man but a bad man's teacher? So if you are a good man, if you are a person of high consciousness, a woman of high consciousness, share your teaching with the world, not to fix them, but because it is your lived experience and your insight as a creator being. And the ones that are meant to absorb and grow from your teaching will come to you, and they will come again and again and again and again, like a little puppy looking for a treat from his master's hand. And so those that come to you, let them come. Give them the best love that you have to give, love and wisdom. Wisdom without love wounds and hurts and divides and separates. Love without wisdom is mushy and soft and easily overridden and damaged. Bring the two together, both the love and the wisdom. Be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. Hmm?
Hmm.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And I'd like to just ask, as we advance and grow, we have new technologies that are forming around us. We have AI and new advanced technologies every day. And I'd like for you to provide a spiritual perspective on how we access and interact with these new technologies that grow around us.
Well, one thing we want you to know is there are very enlightened people who are working behind the scenes for the innovators and creators and forward motion activators of AI. And you may not know this, but we know it to be true. So we want you to rest easy and know that the heart of humanity and how humanity wants to evolve alongside and with AI is being well represented by high consciousness people in the field as the AI develops. And so there's nothing to be afraid of. If you want to be afraid of something, you will create more of what you are afraid of. But if you feel to integrate these technologies as tools to advance consciousness, then it shall be so. Then it shall be so. And so trust a little more in the human heart, in the desire to do good. And this relates also back to the discussion about the left and right and the divisions that are afoot. You must be able to find a seed of goodness in each person that you work with. Even the most hardened narcissist has some light or aspect of light within them. And some of them literally are hardened in their more deviant and egoic behaviors as a service to humanity, to awaken humanity. For what is the devil but the sheep herder? Yes, it's a sheepdog. And
Mhm.
we're not saying there's the devil. We're just saying if you feel that someone is the villain in your life, if you feel that someone is the devil or they are persecuting you or others in any sort of way, understand even a sheepdog will go after the predators and bite at them and nip at them and even nip at the sheep in order to get them to come back into the fold when they're straying and wandering away. And that serves a purpose. So even those who are hardened, it seems, in wickedness are serving a purpose to bring you all back together, back to your center, back to what's important, to have conversations about what really matters and what kind of world are we creating here. And there's never anything to be afraid of. Never, never anything to be afraid of.
It is my great desire to be an activator. And I know that many people that are watching this also wish to be an activator. And you are activating me. So I'm asking if you could activate my ability to activate and the people listening so that we can activate all of those around us into higher levels of consciousness, activate their fields into infinite possibilities. Where I'm asking if we can utilize this podcast and video as a catalyst so that we can become activators.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, we will do it now. Even now, we will do it. For much of what we are doing is casting vision about the possibilities. And many people respond and say, yes, but what about me? Is that for me? Well, we want to say this to you. If there's anything that you hear that's something that you want and you want it to be a part of your life and your experience of what the earth is, then it is the hearing of it is your activation. The activation is when you hear and you say, I want that. I want that for me. That is your activation. Just your thought. I want that. That is your activation. So, yes, 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 yes. We say yes to all of it. Whatever it is you want, my dear, to take away from this conversation, it is a gift, it is a grace. We bring it unto you now. There's no limit to. There's no limit to the abundance. No limit, no limit, no limit. Yes. Tell us what you want to be activated on. We will give it to you. Hmm?
I just wish to be activated as an activator so that I can use my voice. When people hear it, I can activate their potential, their wishes fulfilled, the love within them.
Yes, so let us do our magic here. Then when this is what we give to you, that when your voice is captured in your recording device, as it is captured, it embodies an alarm, an awakening alarm. And each word, as it goes forth, goes deep into the heart, into the cellular structure, into the psyche of the hearer, and just the sound of your voice, the words do not matter. The sound will awaken the cells, awaken the heart, begin to spin the chakras of those who are listening. Chakras spinning, clockwise, clockwise, spinning, awakening, opening, receiving white light, life force energy from the sound of Brian's voice.
Thank you.
And may it be so.
Thank you, Judah, for this great gift. I will use it as wisely and always remember this gift that you've given me. And thank you so much for your wise words and sharing your time with us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It is our pleasure.
All right. That was fun.
Listen,
I am fascinated by the many people I've interviewed channeling, how there is oftentimes a slight difference in accent. And so I'd love for you to talk about that. Like you notice there's a little bit difference in accent when you're channeling Judah. Is it different with other entities as well?
yeah, it is. It is. Some when I channel Michael, he sounds very masculine and young and very authoritative.
Hmm.
When I work with the Pleiadians, usually it's very feminine and light and much more gentle. Judah's pretty I think they're pretty active and they're kind of brash and loud and
Excited.
um yeah, very excited. Very different from me. I'm pretty introverted and pretty quiet for the most
Right.
part. Yeah, yeah, it definitely changes, and I'm not sure exactly why, but I can tell you a little bit about what it feels like. It feels like if you've ever been in a sports car and you're in like first gear, and then you feel you move it up to third, fourth, fifth pretty fast. That's kind of
Mhm.
what it feels like, you know.
Wow. And so you have an amazing book where you've asked some questions with Judah, the first book of Judah, to the answer to all your questions. And I
Yes.
will have a link to that book in the description. I will also have a link to your amazing course. It's the true,
True You Accelerator.
true you accelerator. And you were telling me about it. It sounds really amazing. And you're able to teach on ascension and help other people to channel and enlighten themselves. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, it's just a great 10-week self-study course and you have lifetime access to it. There's so much in there. It's basically everything I learned in my journey, everything that you just taught me. It's for people that are finding themselves attracted to this kind of work and in an awakening process
Hmm.
and want to really move themselves forward to a fully enlightened state on a personal level. I've had it professionally calibrated with Hawkins' map of consciousness. And the course, it ranges between 550 and 850. As you begin the course, it begins in the 550 range, and at the end of the course, it's in the 850 range.
Wow.
So I have had it professionally calibrated, and it will take you all the way to the door of enlightenment if you're open to receiving the messages. We also do several times a year, we do live versions of the course.
Hmm.
People begin channeling in the course. You learn automatic writing. There's so much you learn kinesiology, muscle testing. There's just a whole lot of fun things in there.
Amazing. And I'll have the link in the description and in the comments. So be sure to check that out. And we can find you at your website, which is
TheJudahChannel.com.
thejudahchannel.com, and you have an amazing YouTube channel as well where you're regularly channeling. You just had a recent channeling with the Pleiadians that you'd sent me that I listened to that was amazing. And so the Judah channel, you can find that on YouTube. I'll have the links for that as well.
And we also have, Brian, I just want to mention something
Hmm.
we have that's free is we have a Telegram feed called the Judah Family International.
Hmm.
And it's just a great place if you need support, if you feel lonely, if you're struggling with certain things in your process, whatever it is, there are really great, well-trained people on there that have been hanging out with us a long time. They're there to serve you, answer your questions, and be a family for you. And some people have met the love of their life on this feed,
Oh,
and
wow.
there's been some really cool things happening. But all you need to do is go on Telegram and find the Judah Family International, and you can find some good friends there.
I love that. So my unrelated question, do you have any cats?
I don't. I
So have you thought
wish.
about, was wondering if the cats respond to the Judah energy when Judah comes through, because my cats love it when I meditate. They definitely are attracted to me when I meditate, but I was just wondering that.
I don't know. I have to check that out sometime. That's a
Yeah.
good thought.
So Angie Hipple, everyone, thank you so much and welcome to the Reality Revolution.
We return you now to your local announcer.